The biggest issue affecting your performance in Apex Legends is knowing when to be aggressive and when to be passive. There are moments where you need to be aggressive, and there are equal number of moments where you need to be passive. None of us have an issue with being passive, do we? We love to run away from fights that we need to be taking because we're not confident in ourselves. And I've seen this so much in my solo queue journey so far. People never know when to be aggressive. So fortunately for you, I've simplified it into 5 simple tips for you to remember. This will help you do a few things. You'll know when to be more aggressive given certain situations. You'll become more confident in yourself, and you'll gain a whole hell of a lot more RP. Here is how anybody can be more aggressive in Apex Legends. Without further ado, let's get it. Bam ba bam bam bam. Bam ba bam 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 bam. Before I get into the tips, I want to explain to you guys what I don't mean by being aggressive. It's very simple to be aggressive. All you have to do is sprint towards the enemy, and that makes you aggressive. But being aggressive is nuanced in Apex Legends. And I intend on teaching you guys the difference between smart aggressive plays and dumb aggressive plays. And the smart aggressive plays that I'll be mentioning to you guys have a lot to do with certain advantages within specific fights. And the philosophy behind all of this is that these advantages that I'll be mentioning shortly create a window of opportunity that you must play within. And as soon as that window of opportunity closes, generally speaking, is when you'll have to start playing passive and wait for a new window to open. So let's discuss these advantages that I'm talking about that I'll be giving to you guys in tip form, and this will let you know the moments where you need to be aggressive. Generally speaking, 70% of the time, it's going to work. Again, these are very nuanced and every situation is different, but I have to build this foundation for you guys first before I get into the super specific things that I'll be mentioning in other videos. So please let us all understand that there will be exceptions to every one of these rules, but in general, if you practice these aggressive tips, you will win more of your fights and do so consistently. Tip number 1, you should always be aggressive when you have the numbers advantage. If you have somebody knocked on the other team and now it's a 3v2 situation, 3 people on your team and 2 people alive on their team, you now have the numbers advantage. This is where you should be getting aggressive. As they say, there is strength in numbers, and because they have 1 man less than you, they are now 33% less effective as a team, which means your team can cover more angles and take up more space than they possibly can as a duo or as a solo, etc. And this grants you the perfect window to be aggressive. Why is it important to be aggressive? That means more kill points, which gives you more RP, and if you wipe that team out, then you'll get a higher placement, and that's one less team you have to worry about biting you in your butt later if you allow them to revive. So when you have the numbers advantage, it's time to get aggressive. Let's take a look at this example. Here's a game for my Cossack Bronze Masters. Here we have a team of 3 that is hyper fixated on a solo in endgame. Because they are so heavily distracted on this solo, they allow me the opportunity to get aggressive onto them. Because they aren't paying attention to their surroundings, they're so tunnel vision on this one guy. But I'm not aping them, I'm simply just getting an angle and checking out what's happening. And I wait for the perfect moment to get a kill on that team of 3. Why am I doing this instead of just sitting in a building? More KP, more RP, higher placement, and a better chance to win the game. Because of their mistakes, I was able to get one of them knocked on that team of 3. At that same time, I'm thinking about what to do. They throw down a mobile respawn beacon, which implies that they've already grabbed his banner, or they're about to. So this is the moment where I choose to get aggressive, despite all of my other concerns, because the last thing I want is allowing this team to reset and reestablishing their number advantage. I also know that means one person is going to have to revive their teammate, and since they're already down a man, that means only one person is holding an angle against 3 of us. So with all things considered, it's time for me to get aggressive, simply because we have the numbers advantage. As they're distracted reviving their teammate, I'm able to walk up freely, arc star stick the guy that's reviving, kill him, and then proceed to kill his teammate who was unaware of my push. Because I got that Pathfinder knocked, it gave me a window to push them and eliminate them out of my game easily within a couple seconds. Now I have more KP, which gives me more RP and increases my chances of winning the game. I've seen a lot of players that would have let that team completely reset and give that team the potential to grief us later in that game. More or less, you should always be getting aggressive when you have the numbers advantage. Tip number 2, you should always get aggressive when you have the health advantage. And this is a pretty simple one to understand, and it is especially apparent when you're in a 1v1. When you're in the 1v1 and you do more damage on the enemy than they do to you, you now have the health advantage. You have more health than them. If I shoot a guy for 78 and he only shoots me for 20 and we're in an isolated 1v1, I'm going to get aggressive on that. Why? Because I have the health advantage. Here's a quick example of that. Get some shots onto this Wraith while she's rotating. You'll notice that I already have a slither of my shield missing, but I shoot her for 63, so that means she is 137 HP. Meanwhile, I have about 185 health. I have 60 more HP than this Wraith. It's time to get aggressive. You want to do that to wrap up the fight quickly, to lower your chances of being third-partied, and to prevent them from healing, which would make it a more fair fight. So because I had the health advantage, advantage, I created a window of opportunity for me to get aggressive on this wraith. I always make sure to do so by utilizing my cover, and I finish the fight and I win my 1v1. It's very simple. If you're in an isolated 1v1 and you have more health than them, push them. And this kind of leads me into tip number 3, shield advantage. When you notice that a team has weaker shield than you and your teammates, it's time to get aggressive. Why would you want to get aggressive? Because you have better armor, which means you have more health as a unit. Let's take a look at this example. I noticed that this team behind me has blue armor. That means that individual has a maximum of 175 health. I have maximum of 225. That's because I have red armor, and both my teammates have a maximum of 200, and that's because they both have purple armor. Now, whether or not this entire team has blue armor, this is a moment where you get aggressive. If you have a better armor on a team and you're in an isolated 3v3, you definitely need to get aggressive before they level up their armor, which would make it more of an even playing field, and you could potentially drag out the fight at that point. So while I notice that this team has weaker armor than I do, I get aggressive. I'm to find out that all 3 of them have blue armor. If you ever run into a team that has significantly weaker armor than you must get aggressive. Wipe them out quickly, which gives you more KP, more RP, higher placement, and is one less team to worry about. Tip number 4, third party advantage. You should always get aggressive when you have the third party advantage. If you have 2 teams that are fighting and they're getting knocks on each other, this typically means that your team now has the numbers advantage and the health advantage. It's time to get aggressive. Why is that? Because that's quick and easy KP, which gives you more RP, which gives you higher placement, and is one less team that you have to worry about. Let's take a look at this example in an endgame situation. There are 3 squads alive, and 2 of them are fighting, and they're trading knocks heavily. This gives me and my team a perfect window of opportunity to third party them, get those easy kills, and then win the game. Now imagine a situation where we didn't get aggressive right here, which is what many of you guys do. That means whichever team wins this fight, they could reset and make it an even 3v3. Now we're just making our lives more difficult. In an even 3v3, especially when you're solo queuing, a fight can go any way. Why make it harder for yourself? Anytime I see 2 teams fighting at any point of the game, I get aggressive, but I typically only get aggressive if they're knocking each other, which gives me and my team a numbers advantage and usually results in very easy and quick KP and loot, which is what I'll be using for the rest of the game. So anytime you see 2 teams that are fighting and they're knocking each other, you gotta wait for those knocks. Make sure you're getting aggressive. And lastly, tip number 5, zone advantage. Anytime that you have a zone advantage, you should get aggressive. This is what I mean by zone advantage. Let's take a look at this example. Me and my teammates are in zone while the enemy team is sitting in storm outside of zone. This gives me and my team the zone advantage. And we all know that being caught out in storm is a heavy disadvantage, especially in later zones. We all know that if you're in storm, you're losing health and it's very difficult to see or hear anything. So in this moment, in this situation right here, we maintain our aggression by gatekeeping them and holding our ground in zone and not allowing them a chance to easily rotate into zone. Why do we do this? Because they're in zone taking damage, which gives us the health advantage, which gives us more KP, which in turn gives us more RP, which gives us higher placement. It's now one less team we have to worry about, and it increases our chances of winning. These are the 5 basic tips that teach you guys when to get aggressive. And like I mentioned earlier, there are exceptions to every one of these, as this is a battle royale and everything is situational. But in general, if you have any one of these advantages, that's how you'll know when it's time to get aggressive. Stop playing so passive. Passiveness and hesitation will only get you killed, and always make sure that you're being aggressive with your teammates as well. And that's so you can increase the chances of winning that fight, winning the game, gaining more RP, etc. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for all the support. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a good Easter. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam,